Hi, welcome to another episode of Planetary Calendar. This time we're going to talk about April 2018.
And I'm going to read the forecast. So this is what you find above the numbers. April, with Mercury conjunct the Sun on the 1st, your wires may feel fried, so be careful about talking without thinking. On the 2nd, we have a white circle day, thanks to Mars conjunct Saturn, both strong and effective at practical accomplishments with great commitment and endurance. On the 5th, the Sun trine Moon in Sagittarius gives a nice push to your projects. On the 12th, we have another white circle day, which is a great time for creativity, inspiration, and cooperation. On the 15th is the new moon. This coincides with Mercury turning direct, always a nice thing, and giving some relief to communications and travel. This is an electrifying, combative new moon. When things get crazy, go dig in the garden, walk in the park, let your feet feel the heartbeat of the natural world. On the 17th, we have a black box day. This is Saturn turning retrograde. With Jupiter retrograde chained to Mars and Capricorn, expect a contracting economy, real estate, stocks, and bonds. All the important financial planets, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, and Venus, are in feminine financial signs. This makes people risk-averse, reactive rather than proactive. On the 15th, that new moon in Aries conjunct Uranus may have a reversing effect on the normal real estate surge that occurs this time of year. The Sun entering Taurus on the 19th furthers this conservative withdrawal of resources. People are going to want to hold on to their money. Pluto turns retrograde on the 22nd, which is a challenging black box day, another one that's best spent in the garden or the park celebrating Earth Day. Venus enters Gemini on the 24th, adding a flirtatious spark to the equation. Take joy in small things, personal relationships, friendships that illuminate your life. In January, all the planets were direct and proactive. As spring has arrived and the planets turned retrograde, people become cautious and reactive. Currently, people sense that big things are out of their control, but their intimate world is rich with relationships. By the full moon on the 29th, Chiron has entered energetic Aries with Juno. Mars is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, the moon is with Jupiter in Scorpio, and Uranus is preparing to enter Taurus. This configuration reminds you that your power is within and is the source of joy and fulfillment.
That's quite a mouthful.
Oh my gosh, it is. That's quite a month.
Well, I like the fact that April starts off with that lovely white circle day on a Monday. So the first Monday in April should be a good day to get things off and running for April.
Yes, especially since what did they say? Most heart attacks happen on Mondays at work. Well, maybe this one people will have it a little calmer because energy's pushing in the correct direction.
Well, and Mars is conjunct Saturn.
Yes.
Saturn is the stabilizer, even though Mars is the energetic body. So that kind of relationship is always very helpful. And then Mars, Saturn, and Neptune are all well aspected to the moon. And that moon in Scorpio, don't be scared of it. It really is kind of a profound time to take hold of your emotions and let those emotions guide you to your power on the deepest level.
Yes. What's interesting about this is that Mars is in Capricorn, Saturn's in Capricorn. Saturn's ruled by Capricorn, or rules Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So these are two powerfully placed planets coming conjunct in this chart. And at the same time, they're in a feminine sign, only 60 degrees or so away from the transit of the moon in the course of the day. So, there's interesting things going on. People really will have a lot of power.
And sometimes, you don't want to have Neptune involved in that kind of white circle kind of configuration. But Neptune is in its modern rulership of Pisces.
Yes.
And really gives you sort of the intuition that you need for making projects go forward. And also gives you kind of the inspiration.
Right. That's like they
So,
say, many of the great leaders, or most great leaders, are wonderful storytellers. And that's the thing about Neptune and Pisces, or Pisces generally, is that Pisces is a good storyteller. It helps you envision where you're going.
and you know the saying, there's a good thing and there's a bad thing,
Yes.
and not that it's bad enough for a black box, but be a little bit aware of that void of course on the 3rd, which is all day long. I mean, from 8
Yes.
a.m. until 11 p.m. So that's a full day of void of course. So good thing if you get things kicked off on the Monday, because on the Tuesday, it's going to be hard to nail it down, to
Yeah.
concentrate on any one thing. So if you plan ahead, you can use that void of course energy to take care of all the little things that need to, get lined up and dot the I's and cross the T's and make sure that everything, but nothing that requires long periods of concentration on the same thing.
Exactly. Whatever you've been doing on Monday, keep doing it, basically. Don't try to venture off in a different direction, because that void of course is in Scorpio, which is not a strong position for the moon.
Well, and then not only that, you've got a Mercury square Mars. So
Right.
your talk may not be in line with your actions. So,
Exactly.
although, Jupiter's well aspected, Pluto's well aspected, so I don't think the day is going to go off the rails.
Well, it's also interesting too, because Mercury's in Aries. Mars rules Aries, so this is a bit of what's called a reception, where the one planet reflects well on the other. So Mars is going to tend to run the table here. Mercury's going to have to, get in line. But when it's going square with it, there may be a little bit of butting heads here and there.
And then, of course, we've got the white circle day on the. Did we miss the footnote on the 5th?
Which is the Sun trine Moon. Yeah, that's always one of my faves. That always makes it into the forecast. It's when the Sun is the trine the Moon, means the spirit and the emotions are aligned, they're working together, and this is the one after the full. So it's really one of the biggest pushes of the month.
Well, and it's interesting that you have such an affinity for trines, because we're teaching a series on, the sacred geometry and teaching the power of triangles,
Right.
and the triangle, the trine, the 3 points, they really boost up the energy of things. They're a real creative aspect, but also very stabilizing aspect. So I'm not surprised that you are
Yes.
prone to liking that sun trine moon.
It's real nice when you have the wind at your back sometimes. You don't always have to push uphill, pushing a rock, It's nice when you have the wind pushing your back at your back, and maybe you get a little slope downhill.
Now, en route to the white circle day on the 12th, the 10th, I just want to point out, is going to be a pretty energetic day as well.
Right.
You've got some really good aspects between the sun, moon, and Venus and Mars. The only sort of hiccup could be that sun square Pluto. And of course, with the moon in Aquarius, that sometimes is a wild card. Anything can happen.
Oh, that's especially nice, the 10th. And in fact, the 9th, 10th, 11th, all through there, when you got Venus in Taurus, one of her ruling signs, right, which is, take me out to lunch, please, or bring me chocolates or whatever, trining Mars in Capricorn, who, is the stand-up guy or the stand-up girl who wants to, be taken seriously, in a beautiful trine to other Earth signs. It's lovely. And then the sun sextile moon, but that's a nice day. That would definitely be a day to take someone nice out to lunch.
Well, and so the 12th is a white circle.
Yes, just a bunch of lovely aspects going on. You have the moon in Pisces, which is a very nice position. It's not exalted or anything, but it's a nice position for the moon being in the water. Then you have the Venus, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, all making nice aspects to the moon in the course of the day, which is lovely. And then the beautiful sextile between Venus and Neptune, basically between the romantic and the romantic image.
And never underestimate the power of the Pisces moon, because the Pisces moon is that time when you sort of formulate those ideas and ideals and, let that inspiration take hold just before you start off running in Aries. So that Pisces moon can be the catalyst sometimes to great projects.
Yeah, in some ways I think that the Pisces moon is very much like the Cancer moon, which is, of course, the ruling sign, but it's less personal. where Cancer moon is all about me and mine, the Pisces moon is about we and ours.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Good point.
It's so good.
Nice,
It's so good at visualizing.
nice way for you to put that.
Yeah. And then we have the new moon on the 15th, and that's also on the same day when Mercury goes direct in Aries. So you're gonna feel that. You're gonna definitely feel like someone threw a switch on that day, because we spent the first half of this month of April with Mercury retrograde. So all the circuits have been just a little bit, a little fried. Now the only good thing about it is that Mercury is not strong in Aries. So when Mercury is in a strong position and retrograde is when the wires really get sizzled. But Mercury's just so-so.
Yeah, if Mercury's not working at its best anyway, so it goes
Right.
a little retrograde. So sometimes it's good to slow down that Mercury energy if it's not really strong.
Yeah, especially in Aries. So, you might just find that the first half of the month, communications is not your forte. It's not the area where things go quite as smoothly. But once you get to the 15th of Mercury, then it's going to turn direct at the new moon. It is going to be a nice a restart, you might say.
Well, and then you got a kind of nice little day on Monday, the 16th, which, I always am partial to that Taurus moon. And some nice parallels going on. Although in the run up to that black box day on the 17th, you got that Venus opposing Jupiter. But on the 17th, there's a black box for more reasons than Venus opposing Jupiter from the day before. Yeah. We've got Saturn going retrograde.
Yeah, and that's a biggie.
Some planets do retrograde better than other planets. I'm thinking about Venus. When Venus goes retrograde or Neptune goes retrograde or the outer planets, go retrograde. They really create opportunities to kind of slow down, reevaluate. But the planets that are more dynamic, the ones whose energy are usually externalized, when they go retrograde, you really feel it, So Saturn being the one, the planet that is responsible for how you are out in the world, for it to retreat. That's tough sometimes for people.
Well, especially because Saturn has two rulerships, Capricorn and Aquarius. Aquarius is the fixed one, but Capricorn is the cardinal one. Cardinal's all about taking action. It's all about getting out there and making starting things up. It's the Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer. These are the cardinal signs. So when it goes retrograde in a cardinal sign, it feels especially stymied.
Well, and even though the other rulership is Aquarius, Aquarius doesn't kind of sit around. It might sit around in its head, but not in its head. Its ideas are always going. The inspiration, there's big things going on, even though it's a fixed sign.
Yeah, it only appears to be sitting still.
So yeah, exactly. It's like a trick it does with mirrors or something like that.
It's very much like the people born with strong Aquarius in their chart. They can seem so peaceful, but if you could actually look inside their head, it would be like this embroglio of energy going on.
But then with all that energy in the beginning of the month, with Mercury having been retrograde, going direct, and then Saturn goes retrograde and all of that, it's kind of blessed to see the sun go into Taurus.
Yes.
That bucolic sign that, okay, have a little patience, slow it all down, evaluate, consolidate, take time for chocolate and the movies, and just don't sweat it so much.
And that's on the 19th, so that's the first degree of Taurus. And then on the following week, on the 22nd, we have another black box day, and that's really a lot of that's because of Pluto going retrograde. That's a big factor, and the moon is square the sun as well. But it's also Earth Day, and black box day is actually a great day to get things done if you don't mind kind of pushing uphill, with the wind in your face. So, and this one would be a great day to go to the park and celebrate, I think.
Well, it is Earth Day, so.
It is Earth Day.
Let's take that into consideration.
Exactly.
And on the 24th, we've got Venus entering Gemini. And that's kind of a fun, light, easy transit, except remember that any time that a planet changes sign, it creates turbulence, So there's, swirling energy moving around, and you don't know which way it's going to swirl necessarily. So be open for it to change on a dime, especially with Gemini involved.
Exactly. And then finally we have on the 29th, it's the full moon where everything kind of comes up to a peak. And that's what number I. And what did we say about by the full moon on the, oh yeah, all kinds of things have happened. Chiron, which is the wounded healer, has entered Aries after a long period of time in Pisces.
Right.
Long period of time. Chiron takes 50 years to go around the sun.
Seems longer than it really was, even
longer.
because it was in Pisces. So.
Yeah. And then you have also Mars is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, and you got the moon is conjunct Jupiter. But I think it's really, and Uranus is getting ready in May to enter Taurus, so we're going to see some major shifts. And when you watch that forecast, we covered that pretty in great detail.
But I just want to say quickly, Chiron moving into Aries is a good opportunity for people to start to take action with things relating to health,
Yes.
knowledge about their health. You know, Chiron is the wounded healer and the knowledge seeker, and the best way to learn Chiron's lessons is to teach them to someone else. So.
Exactly, yes. So I think with that positive note.
So happy April. See us again next time. And you can always find more information at www.spaceandtime.com. Hi, we're back with another astrological minute or 10. And we thought we would talk about the moon and how the moon changes signs every 2.5 days. And because the moon is so associated with our emotions, we feel that kind of emotional tug, that shift happening, you know, every couple, 2-3 days, because we feel different if the moon is in the same sign as our sun sign or opposite our sun sign. You know, these are times when we feel the new moon, the full moon, the quarters of the moon. But we relate to the moon. If our ruling planet is Venus, we may be very sensitive at times when the moon is in the signs of Venus. We've got the moon in Taurus, we've got the moon in Libra. Women adjust their cycles to moons that relate to the moon relationship in their natal chart. And so we see this shifting, this kind of dance through the month as the moon makes its circuit around the Earth.
Exactly. And to give you an idea, when the moon goes into Aries, everyone gets a little more social. I've always noticed that, and you know, everyone gets a little more rammy, a little more willing to kind of reach out to other people.
Outgoing.
Outgoing, exactly. It's a little more energizing. It's a little more inventive, you might say. And then, you know, after all of that, you know, you burn yourself out a little bit, and the moon gets into Taurus, and you say, well, let's go have lunch. You know, and whenever the moon's in Taurus, I could swear that all the restaurants fill up.
Well, and Taurus is also about relaxation and enjoying beauty, and you'll find yourself either leaning towards or making your best decisions about doing something that's beauty oriented. Maybe it'll be a walk out in nature, or maybe it'll be a visit to an art gallery, or maybe it will be making reservations at a restaurant, or maybe it'll just be curling up with some popcorn and the TV, because it's about ease and comfort and giving to yourself, because Venus is a very internalized energy, and so the moon in Taurus helps to bring out that Venusian energy too.
In fact, if you go shopping for clothes during the moon in Taurus, you tend to make good choices. On the other hand, it's funny how oftentimes when the moon's in Taurus, you kind of feel like going out there and digging in your garden and being with the plants, because Taurus is about the earth and the plants and being around animals, and many times people are drawn to that during a moon in Taurus.
Then, of course, moon in Gemini is just fun and flirty and changeable, and you know, you might want to reconnect with old friends or siblings, or you know, do things for short periods of time and then switch and do something else, because the quality of Gemini then reflects in your emotions. And don't we make decisions about what we're going to do on a day based on, oh, I don't feel like doing that today, or oh, I'm really in the mood to do this today. And
so, for instance, if you're going to plan an event where you need people to really chat a lot, well, do it when the moon is in Gemini. Now, when the moon goes into Cancer, that's the home moon. And many times we find that when the moon's in Cancer, people, you know, they don't want to do stuff that's outside the home. In fact, if we plan a workshop and it's on the moon in Cancer, the registration's going to be a little lower, because people don't want to go out that night.
Unless we're addressing home issues
Yes.
and homey issues, so
But they might
that
plan.
could be.
They might plan to show up, and then they get there and dinner runs long, and they just don't show up. It's a very emotionally comfortable moon, insular
right,
moon. And,
right. You want to feel secure and safe. You don't want to stretch yourself out of your original boundaries. You think about the crab.
Right.
Cancer is ruled by, the symbol for Cancer is the crab, so he brings everything into himself. In fact, in a moon in Cancer, you might want to do a home workshop, like at somebody's home, or
Right.
you want to
Yes.
do it in your own home, or you want to just bring some friends over.
In fact, it's funny. America, of course, is ruled under the sign of Cancer, July 4th. And if you look at our most popular, form of television, which is the situation comedy, it's all based around the couch, which is a very Cancerian concept.
They say the set dressers spend more time choosing the couch to set the tone for the whole show.
Now, when the moon goes into Leo, this is the heart-based energy. And so it's once again a great sign for anytime you want to do a party or honor someone, or during times of creativity, because people start coming very much from the heart.
It's a showman too,
Yes.
It's a look at me kind of an energy. So when you've got the Leo moon, it's not the time to be reticent to go out and meet people and shine. It's the time to go to an event or a party or a lecture, see someone speak, or if you're a speaker, to choose a date like that is always nice because it rules the heart and you'll get a heartfelt reaction.
If you need to have a very intellectual conversation, you want to keep the emotions out of it, don't do it during a moon in Leo.
You could wait till moon in Virgo,
Better
because
choice.
moon in Virgo is very detail oriented. And if you have to get a lot of things done, don't schedule that day in the office. I'm going to clean up everything on my desk. Don't schedule that on a moon in Leo. Schedule that on a moon in Virgo, because you will be able to just see all the details and dot all the I's and cross all the T's and really get her done.
Exactly. And the moon in Virgo, in fact, is a time when you want to be able to kind of constrict your emotions a bit and not let them get in the way of your intellect. Now, when the moon goes into Libra, this is where you have to start listening to other people's point of view. Libra's about the partnership.
And try not to listen too much, because moon in Leo is often, well, but this, but that, and maybe this, and maybe that. Don't try to schedule an important decision on a day with a moon in Libra. And if your sun sign is Libra, that multiplies that exponentially. Or if you have Mercury in Libra, that's not the day to make a decision. But it is a day to sort of weigh your options and make decisions based on all the information that you can have. And if you don't have all the information, you have to be smart enough to say, I'm going to postpone that decision for another day.
It's kind of funny because it's a day you do want to go shopping because it's all about beauty, but then it takes you forever to do that. So make sure you bring along a very patient friend. Not a spouse, a patient friend.
Moon in Scorpio. This is another one of those kind of loner, internalized kind of moons, but it's a really good day to kind of find out the hidden truths, the hidden issues, and
Hidden is the operative word.
it's also a great day to clean your closet.
Yes.
Or dig out the old papers that you've been meaning to get some information out of storage or something like that. It's also a good day to have a really profound, if you've been putting off that conversation or addressing that big, hairy element, this would be a good time to sort of get that out into the open.
Yeah, Scorpio is the feminine, feminine sign of Mars, and it is not fearful. It's a sign that will delve and dive into stuff that other people would shy away from. And so the moon in Scorpio is good for addressing things that you don't want to necessarily address most of the time.
Right.
Now, when the moon moves in Sagittarius, you finally get a break from that because Sagittarius said, okay, we dug in now. Now let's look out here. Let's see what that taught us.
And Sagittarius has such a great sense of humor, so that after you get done the moon in Scorpio, you get to see the humorous side of whatever
Yes.
was on Earth during the Scorpio
Yeah,
moon.
in fact, the Scorpio moon is the sign that basically invented the term, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And then Sagittarius says, hey, we're alive.
Exactly.
Let's celebrate. And so
That's brilliant.
Sagittarius is a very optimistic sign. So a moon in Sagittarius is a great time for any time of event where you want to get people together, to be optimistic. If you want to pitch an idea to people about the future, moon in Sagittarius is fantastic for that.
Of course, many people will want to travel somewhere, so maybe that's the day to start a little weekend hiatus.
Right, or even just go out for a nice drive and get out into the world. It's not a day for sitting around the house. Now the moon in Capricorn is the day in which you may have to tell people that you're being way too emotional about this. You need to look at the practical stuff. This is a serious issue, and that's what the moon in Capricorn is about. In fact, many times people who have moon in Capricorn are not comfortable with strong emotions.
Well, I'm glad you're saying that in that way, because as we're now sort of tracking through the path of the moon, and the moon went to Scorpio, and then you saw the sense of humor in Sagittarius. Well, maybe in moon in Sagittarius, you opened up your wallet a little bit too wide. And then in Capricorn, it says, oh, well, but now you have to pay for it.
Count the pennies.
It's kind of, the flow leads you from one to the other as these go through the cycles of the moon.
Now, when the moon goes into Aquarius, this is a very social moon, but it's a little detached sometimes. Many times Aquarius moons, people just seem a little distracted, and it's because the Aquarian energy is a broad viewer. It's not about you as the individual, it's that you as part of the flock.
And then we get to the Pisces moon.
Yeah.
I call the Pisces the sign of the old man of the zodiac, because now you've gone through the full cycle, you have the complete knowledge, and now you can just go to the mountaintop and meditate on it.
Go to church and do something spiritual, look within and look beyond. And that's the Pisces moon. Also a good day to go to the beach.
Or dance.
Or dance, that too.
So we hope you enjoyed this astrological minute. We know it was a little more than a minute.
Enjoy.